CEO's heartwarming challenge to Black Maid revealed a hidden talent that left everyone stunned. Grace stood behind the gleaming marble counter, wiping away the remnants of rich food and frivolous lives. The penthouse was pristine, yet all Grace could think about were the remnants of her own. The whispers of dreams long buried were eclipsed by the daily grind of her life, as a maid, a life spent ensuring others thrived while she overlooked her own aspirations. Somewhere within her, there flickered a longing to sing, to perform, but that flame had dimmed beneath the weight of her responsibilities as a single mother. Her kids, 10-year-old Jaden and 7-year-old Mia, were her world, and their laughter echoed in her heart, lending her strength yet reminding her of the dreams she had stashed away. When Daniel, her new employer and the oblivious CEO, announced the upcoming talent showcase at his tech company, she thought he must be joking at first. "You should join," he laughed, his eyes sparkling with an enthusiasm that felt foreign to her. Imagine the excitement in the office. She chuckled along, masking the storm swirling inside her. She hadn't performed in years. Nerves crept into her throat like bitter custard, coating her enthusiasm but sparking just a trace of that youthful thrill she thought lost. As the days turned to weeks, Daniel's casual encouragement gnawed at Grace like a restless ghost. She could almost hear the melody of a long-forgotten song calling to her, a siren's plea that threatened to drown her in self-doubt. What if she made a fool of herself? What would the audience think? But then how could she forsake the chance to do something meaningful for her children? Jaden and Mia burst with excitement every time they overheard her humming. "Mommy, please," they plead, their wide eyes full of hope. Just as tension began to coil tightly around their household, a calming presence arrived at their door. Mavis, her neighbor and longtime friend. Mavis had caught Grace crying softly while polishing the living room furniture. "You need to do this, Grace," she urged. "I've seen you sing in the shower, and it's magic." The warmth of their shared moments of laughter drew Grace in like a comforting blanket, and despite the rising pressure of her family's struggles, the spark reignited. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Just days before the showcase, the air thickened with a stifling tension at home. A few arguments about bills reminded her of the ticking clock of time and obligation. Could she even have this moment for herself? Heart pounding and breath shallow, Grace stood backstage, watching as her heart danced like the flutter of curtains in a summer breeze. The crowd was filled with faces, some familiar and others unsettling. As the applause faded, she stepped into the spotlight, the stage warmer than her living room. Her heart raced with every note, each lyric a testament to the journey she traveled. Her voice soared, encapsulating her struggles, her love, her unwavering commitment to her children, and the dreams she sacrificed. The audience held its breath, ensnared by the powerful soul that poured forth a beautiful mixture of anguish and hope. As the final note hung in the air, a collective gasp traveled through the room, striking chords of empathy that spread like wildfire. Grace took a moment on that stage, vulnerable and powerful, challenging the perceptions around her. Yet even amid the applause, doubt loomed large. Could she strike a balance between the dreams that intertwined with the daily struggles of her family? As she stepped off the stage, exhilarated yet terrified, the echo of her family's unresolved tensions reverberated in her mind. The world had just begun to change around her, but the path she faced felt ever so uncertain. Where would this newfound courage lead her next? Grace stepped off the stage, her heart still racing. The applause faded, leaving a hum in her ears and a tightness in her chest. She had done it. She had dared to step into the spotlight, but as reality crashed back, her triumph felt fragile. What now? The glow of victory clashed with the reminders of her life waiting beyond the curtains. In the back of her mind, the doubts loomed like dark thunderclouds. Had she been foolish to think she could have both her performance and her responsibilities? The faces in the crowd blurred as she moved, focusing only on the exit. She needed to breathe, to escape the tightness constricting her. In the hallway, the sound of her children's laughter broke through the fog of her thoughts. Jaden and Mia were there, practically bouncing with pride. "Mommy, you were amazing," Jaden yelled, his voice full of light. Mia's tiny hands squeezed Grace's tightly. "You sang just like a real star." Her face glowed with innocence and admiration. For a moment, her heart swelled. Seeing the joy radiate from their little faces filled the cracks of doubt. But as they bubbled over with excitement, shadows of reality crept in. The weekend had just passed, and the bills loomed dauntingly overhead like storm clouds threatening rain. "Thank you, my loves," she managed, pulling them into a hug, but inside she was wrestling with her own uncertainty. Could she keep this newfound spark lit while navigating the storms that raged in her home? As they left the venue, the sunlight broke through the clouds, almost teasingly. Could it really shine on her life? Outside, a few of her coworkers approached, their expressions glowing with surprise and admiration. "You were incredible, Grace," one said, clapping her hands together as if trying to contain her glee. "Who knew you had it in you?" Another chimed, and Grace felt warmth fill the space between them, but alongside it twisted a knot of anxiety. She wasn't just a singer. She was a mother, a provider, someone who had spent years prioritizing others. Could she dare to embrace this new identity? On the ride home, the car felt too quiet, the silence thick with unspoken questions. Jaden tapped the window, pointing at the passing trees. "Mom, what if you kept singing? You could win a real contest." The idea struck her like a bolt. What if she took this leap? But then fear kicked back in, gnawing at her. "You know, it's not always that simple," she replied cautiously. "Mommy has responsibilities." Mia, sensing her hesitation, whispered, "But what about your dreams?" Those words hung in the air, carrying weight far beyond their innocence. The doubts began to swirl anew, but maybe, just maybe, this was a chance to redefine her path. As they pulled into their driveway, Grace felt a sense of resolve forming. With her children's eyes shining with hope, could she allow herself to explore a world where dreams were more than just whispers? Later that night, tucked into bed, Grace stared at the ceiling, no longer blank, but full of stars, inspirations shaping the future she hadn't dared to envision. As sleep tiptoed in, a question rose in her heart. What would she do next? What if this was just the beginning? She could feel the horizon calling out to her, daring her to grab on. But would she? Breathless, she closed her eyes, preparing for the journey ahead where every note could be a step towards breaking free. What awaited her in that vast unknown? The sun dipped low, painting the sky in hues of pink and gold as Grace opened her eyes the next morning. The weight of last night's performance clung to her, mixing with the sweet scent of pancakes wafting through the house, a gentle reminder of her responsibilities. Jaden's laughter rang out from the kitchen, pulling her from her thoughts. "Mom, can you make it with extra syrup today?" he called, his excitement palpable. "Of course, sweetie," Grace replied, forcing a smile. She climbed out of bed, the soft creak of the floorboards under her feet grounding her. But as she moved through the familiar spaces of her home, doubt nipped at her heels. The potential of her newfound dream surged like a zephyr. Could she really pursue music while managing all the chaos? As she cooked, the aroma masking her inner turmoil, Mia appeared, rubbing her sleepy eyes. "Mommy, can we decorate your room today?" she asked, stifling a yawn. "Sure. It'll be fun," Grace replied, her heart lifting at the thought of spending that time with her daughter. But the urgency of the bills waiting in the drawer shot through her like a cold wave. With breakfast finished and bellies full, Jaden began plotting out a drawing for their project. "How about we use glitter for the stars? You know, your shining moment." Her smile faltered for a heartbeat. "That sounds amazing, buddy," she said, though an image flashed in her mind, the bank statement from last week. "Mom," Jaden's voice broke through her fog. "What are you thinking about? You were a star last night." His innocent gaze filled her with warmth, but it quickly spiraled back to doubt. Was that just one night? Or could it be the start of something more? Did she even have time for stardom, or was it childish to dream? "Let us focus on the stars for your room," she suggested, trying to sidestep the pressure pooling in her chest. Mia bounced around the living room. collecting supplies with an energy that only an 8-year-old could muster. Grace's heart tugged as she watched. This was her life, filled with joy, with laughter. But in the back of her mind, the whisper of the stage lingered, beckoning her. Later that afternoon, after they completed their project, Grace found herself lost in the moment. Laughter echoed around them, and as their artwork came alive with glitter and bright colors, the memory of singing floated back into her mind. What if I really pursued this? She mused aloud, allowing the question to hang in the air. Jaden's eyes sparkled with enthusiasm. See, you already have fans. Me and Mia, he exclaimed, his joy infectious. But just as quickly as inspiration flowed through her, it was snuffed out. She felt the clock ticking, every second a reminder of reality's harsh grip. We have to think about school and work and... Mom, stop being a grown-up for a second. Mia interjected, placing her hands on her hips with a pout. You have to think about you too. Their words struck a chord. Maybe she had been too focused on responsibilities, losing sight of her own dreams. Grace felt a stirring within her, a flicker of hope igniting. But would that be enough? After the kids went to bed that night, Grace found herself standing by the window, watching the stars twinkle above. They seemed to shine a little brighter tonight, supporting her burgeoning dreams. With every breath, she let go of a bit of her fear. Tomorrow could be different. Tomorrow could be her chance. As she drifted off to sleep, a thought emerged with electrifying clarity. What if she auditioned for a local contest? And what would happen if she failed? With her heart racing, she turned to her phone, fingers poised over a search bar. Tomorrow's decisions loomed ahead like a distant horizon, and they could change everything. Would she seize that opportunity, or let it slip away? The next morning, Grace's heart thudded in her chest as she unfolded herself from bed. The sunlight streamed through her window, illuminating the chaos of her bedroom. But today felt different. There was a spark within her, bright and vivid, urging her to push through the morning routine. Mom, pancakes. Jaden's voice mix of necessity and excitement broke through her thoughts, pulling her into the familiar rhythm of the day. After breakfast, as she wiped down the table, a wavering mix of anxiety and thrill coiled in her stomach. The contest wasn't just an idea anymore. It was a tangible possibility. The kind of chance she once thought was reserved for someone else, someone braver, more daring. Keep the glitter, Mom. You'll need it for the competition. Mia chirped, her tiny hands clutching a jar of glitter with the same enthusiasm one might tackle a prize trophy. The child's unwavering belief in her mother stirred something deep inside Grace. Yeah, Mom. We believe in you, Jaden added, his eyes wide with admiration. Her fingers traced the rim of the jar. They believed in her. But would that belief be enough to shield her from potential embarrassment? What if she failed? Well, I might need some more practice, don't you think? Grace smiled, though doubt crept back in. Mia shook her head fast enough to send a few strands of hair flying. No, just go sing. You were amazing last time. The children's energy wrapped around her like a warm hug. Maybe she could let herself consider that this was more than a whim. She could feel the positive vibrations resonating, surging through her like a newfound tide. She'd have to at least try. As she prepared for work, her mind raced. How would she fit in practice sessions, scheduled performances, and everything else? But beneath all that, a piece of her felt resolved. She was going to do this. Even if she had to sneak moments in late at night or wake up early, she would find a way. Pulling her phone from her purse during lunch at work, she searched for the contest link again. The page flickered on her screen with minimal fanfare, just a simple form for registration. Grace froze, the cursor hovering over submit. What if this led to a future she had only dreamed about? Hey, Grace, you all right? A coworker, Lisa, broke through her bubble of contemplation. Yeah, I'm good, just deciding on something, she mumbled, quickly putting her phone away as the day drifted on. She chewed on the idea, letting it absorb into her bones. But all the logistical worries wrapped around her like vines, choking the hope that had started to bloom. After a long shift, the moment finally arrived when she returned home, the house alive with the sounds of her children playing. Mommy, do you believe in dreams? Mia's tiny voice floated into the air from the living room, and for a brief second, Grace felt herself transported back to that lofty space of ambition. Of course I do. Do you? She responded, her heart racing at the conversation. Mia nodded with fierce determination, bouncing on her heels. Then I believe in you. Grace's heart swelled. All her fears began to dissipate, replaced by the belief that maybe, just maybe, she could embody the dreams she wanted her children to chase as well. That evening, as she tucked her children into bed, she promised herself she'd practice at least once before the audition just to get a feel for it. A comfort. Something to hold on to if self-doubt crept back in. With the kids asleep, Grace finally stood in front of the mirror, her breath hitching with uncertainty. The quiet night hung around her, and in that silence, she picked up her guitar, the familiarity grounding her as she strummed a few chords. But as she began to sing, the sound of her voice filled the room, wrapping around her like an embrace. Every note felt liberating. This was more than a practice. This was her beginning. And as she sang, a thought flickered: what if she shared this with someone special, someone who held a crucial part of her heart? Grace paused mid-verse, a new intensity settling in. Would she dare to confide in someone about this leap? What if their reaction turned her courage into ashes? With resolve, she decided, tomorrow would bring more than just a practice. Tomorrow, she would share. All the while, the whisper of possibility began to sparkle anew, and as she closed her eyes, she felt the pulse of destiny calling her forward. What unexpected twists awaited her on this path? Did she have the strength to reveal her dreams fully, and what would happen next? The next morning was a wash of sunshine and crisp air, as if the universe herself conspired to gift Grace a fresh start. She lifted her head off the pillow, the weight of self-doubt eerily absent, replaced by a burgeoning excitement. Today was the day to share her aspirations, to voice the dreams entwining themselves around her heart. Mom, come see the fort we built. Jaden's voice broke through the tranquility, infusing the morning with youthful exuberance. Grace smiled, her resolve solidifying. She would reveal her plans to Jaden and Mia first. They deserved to know what had her so lit up. Breakfast was filled with laughter, the clinking of plates, and the delightful chatter of her children. As they polished off pancakes, Grace felt the warmth of connection flow through her. Hey, kiddos, she began, her voice soft but determined. I want to try something big. Something I've always wanted to do. Jaden's interest peaked, his blueberry-covered mouth parting in curiosity. Mia paused mid-bite, her small fingers curled around her fork, wide-eyed and alert. I'm going to enter a singing contest, Grace said, her heart racing slightly at the admission. The words hung in the air, both daunting and exhilarating. Wait, you're going to sing? Jaden exclaimed, his excitement palpable. Like when we watched that show. You're amazing, Mom. Mia, her bounce returned, jumped from her chair, glitter jar in hand. Can we decorate your poster? It'll be the best. Everyone's going to love you. Their enthusiasm wrapped around her, a tangible support that pushed her forward. Every ounce of doubt melted away, replaced by a fierce determination. Here she was, not just a mother, but a mother with a dream. The kids spent the day excitedly brainstorming ideas for their mom's performance. They chose colors and made plans for glittery posters, buzzing with ideas that intertwined their childhood creativity with their mother's newfound courage. With each laugh and shared idea, she felt her own heart swelling. These were her biggest supporters, and their joy ignited something in her. After a long day filled with an energy that only children could conjure, bedtime came rushing in. As she tucked Mia in, the little girl's eyes softened, and a rare moment of seriousness crossed her face. Mommy, what if you win? Mia asked, her voice a whisper as if sharing a secret. Grace drew in a breath, her mind racing. Well, honey, this is about more than winning. It's about showing myself that I can chase my dreams, no matter how scary it feels. But what if you're scared? Mia's tiny brow furrowed, concern etched on her face. That's okay. I think sometimes you have to be scared to do something really cool. All of us do, right? Grace replied, her heart brimming with motherly love. Yeah, but it makes you brave, Mia said, that childlike wisdom settling in the room like a cozy blanket. Grace smiled, pulling Mia close for a hug, letting the warmth of her child's belief envelop her. Later that night, long after her children were asleep, Grace found herself in front of the mirror again. With her guitar, she played a few chords, feeling a mixture of fear and exhilaration course through her. This felt more than just practice. It was reaching deeper. It was stepping outside of who she had always been. Just as she began to sing, a sudden memory flashed through her mind, her first performance back in high school. The rush of nerves, the thrill of applause. Would anyone come for her this time? It was then that she decided. She would invite someone close to share this moment with her. Sharing her journey could multiply her courage. But who? The name tumbled through her mind, and her heart skipped a beat. There it was, the someone special she had hoped would play a part in this. Could she muster the courage to reach out? As she strummed the final chord, resolution surged within her. She would text him in the morning, a way to show the world, and him, that she was serious, that this was real. With each heartbeat, the stakes felt higher, but so did the excitement. The universe felt full of promise as she finally took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "I believe in me." But would he see her true potential? Could he support her on this path when the road grew rocky? Tomorrow would tell if she could transform her dreams into something even more beautiful than she dared to hope. The morning light spilled through the window, casting golden stripes across the kitchen floor as Grace poured herself a cup of coffee. With her heart still racing from last night's breakthrough, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. Today was the day she would send that text, take that leap of faith. As she stood there, the familiar sound of giggles echoed down the hallway. Jaden and Mia were already up, likely plotting their next grand adventure. Grace found herself smiling at the thought of her little dynamic duo, never short on imagination, always ready to lift her spirits. "Mom, can we make a treasure map?" Jaden's voice boomed, full of imagination. "Please, Mom. It'll be so cool." Mia chimed in, her enthusiasm infectious. "All right, you two. Let us see what kind of treasure you can find," Grace replied, pouring some milk into their cereal bowls. While the kids set off for their treasure hunt in the backyard, Grace felt fluttering excitement in her chest. Amid the chaos of crayons, glitter, and muddy shoes, her mind wandered back to her dreams. Would today be the day she took her first step? She took a deep breath and grabbed her phone. Maybe it was silly to text him first thing in the morning, but the thought of doing it made her feel strong. She typed, "Hey, I've decided to enter a singing contest. I would love your support. Can we talk?" She hesitated, her thumb hovering over the send button. What if he laughed? What if he didn't respond? But the courage she felt from her kids surged within her. This was her moment. She hit send. Her heart pounded as she paced around the kitchen, replaying the moment in her mind. Smoothing out her shirt, she caught a glimpse of her reflection. Who was that woman staring back? She considered the wild ideas whirling in her head, the vibrant posters, Jaden and Mia's cheerful faces, their laughter echoing in her ears as they decorated with glitter. Suddenly, her phone buzzed a response. She grabbed it, reading quickly, "Wow, that's amazing, Grace. I'd love to be there and cheer for you." Relief washed over her, and the fluttering excitement transformed into a warm glow. "He believes in me," she thought, absorbing the significance of those simple words. Inspired by the moment, she grabbed her guitar, settling on the couch. With the kids outside, she let herself fill the room with music. Each note resonated with the joy, hope, and dreams that were bubbling up inside. She sang with a fervor that surprised even herself, pouring her heart into each lyric. As the final chord lingered in the air, Mia peeked her head through the door, her eyes sparkling. "Mom, you sound like a real singer. Can I sing with you next time?" Grace laughed. "Of course you can. We'll be a team." Their laughter intertwined, echoing through the house. And for a moment, Grace felt invincible. But as the sun dipped lower in the sky, an unexpected doubt crept in. What if she didn't have what it took? What if she forgot the words, or worse, her voice cracked? She pushed those thoughts aside, telling herself this was about the journey, not a destination. Yet the questions lingered. What if her dreams were too big? What if she wasn't ready for this level of exposure? As night fell, and the house settled into a cozy silence, Grace nestled into bed, wrestling with apprehension. The text had opened a door, but what waited on the other side? Hope and fear danced in her heart, each moment thick with possibility. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, and she wasn't sure how she would face them. But it was clear she would have to prepare, not just for the contest, but for the storm of emotions that lay ahead. In the back of her mind, she knew one thing: taking that stage would be one of the biggest battles yet. What if that moment changed everything for her? What if she faced her fears and emerged transformed? With those questions floating through her mind, sleep came slowly. The thrill of the unknown hung heavily in the air as she drifted off, dreaming of bright lights and loud cheers. The next morning would be crucial. Would she finally take the plunge, or let doubt keep her at bay? Grace woke with a new resolve, ready to face the day, to see just how far her dreams could take her. Grace woke to a soft golden light filtering through her curtains, the reassuring sounds of Jaden and Mia playing in the living room. A surge of determination raced through her as she remembered her commitment to herself, her decision to embrace this upcoming challenge. Today felt different. It was the day she would prepare not just to sing, but to truly share a piece of herself. As she made her way to the kitchen, the smell of breakfast wafted through the air. Jaden was trying to flip pancakes, while Mia was stealing bites of the batter. The sight warmed Grace's heart, and she couldn't help but chuckle. These were the moments that grounded her, reminding her of what truly mattered. "Careful, chef," she teased, ruffling Jaden's hair as she poured coffee. "Let us make sure we don't have a pancake explosion." Jaden's eyes sparkled with a hint of mischief. "No explosions here. Just deliciousness." Mia joined in, "Yeah? And then treasure hunting afterwards, right, Mom?" "Yes. But first, everyone needs to fuel up," Grace said, whisking the eggs with enthusiasm, her mind racing ahead. As they sat down to eat, she could barely focus on the food. Her fingers fidgeted with her napkin, and her stomach tightened with a mix of excitement and nerves. She could feel the weight of the upcoming performance bearing down on her. What if I'm not as good as I hope? What if I freeze up? The doubts nipped at her heels again. Just then, Mia's bright voice broke through her thoughts. "Mom, what is the most amazing thing you've ever done?" The question caught Grace off guard. She paused, her fork hanging midair. I don't know. Maybe when I went camping with Dad, and we built a fire. That was fun. You'll be amazing. The best," Jaden exclaimed, slamming his hand on the table. Their unwavering belief spurred something deep inside her. She realized just how important this journey was, not just for herself, but for her kids. They needed to see her face her fears and flourish. After breakfast, she cleared the table and turned to Jaden and Mia. "Let us finish that treasure map. It will be our adventure together." As they scribbled and drew, Grace felt her spirits lifting. She felt empowered not just by the support of her kids, but from her own budding sense of purpose. She thought about looking up songs, crafting a set list, and how she would prepare herself for the stage. Each stroke of the crayon was like a piece of her dreams falling into place. "We have to mark the X where the treasure is buried," Mia insisted, and soon enough, a colorful treasure map adorned the paper, flanked with doodles and designs that sparkled with possibility. When they finished, Jaden had an idea. "What if we practice a song? You can sing while we go on our treasure hunt." Heart racing, Grace grasped at the idea. "That's brilliant. Let us do it." Taking her guitar again, she strummed a few notes. The sound carved through her anxiety, echoing warmly through the backyard. As she started singing, Jaden and Mia danced around her, giggling and singing along. A safety net of laughter enveloped them, bridging the gap between her fears and their love. With each note, Grace's nerves faded. She began to lose herself in the rhythm, pouring her heart into the melody, feeling the warmth of the sun and the joy of being alive. As the song ended, her kids erupted in applause. Their voices blended in sweet harmony, encouraging her to push through her fears. Each shyness of her heart melted away under the fierce brightness of their belief. But even as the thrill coursed through her, doubt crept back in. What if this moment vanished when she stood on that stage? What if the cheers turned to silence? With a heavy heart, Grace knew she had to confront these emotions. She took a deep breath, pulling herself together. Standing tall, she looked at her children. "Okay, treasure hunters, let us get ready for our adventure. But before that, who's ready to help me prepare for the real performance?" The glimmer in their eyes shone with belief and admiration, but the shadow of uncertainty lingered for Grace. She was taking strides, but could she fight through to the finish? Tomorrow held promise, yet fear stubbornly clung to her thoughts. Would she rise to the occasion, or would she step back into the shadows? The answers hung just out of reach, waiting for a brave heart to grasp them. The sun had barely crested the horizon when Grace woke again. this time with a mix of excitement and dread swirling in her stomach. The day had finally arrived. She could hear the familiar sounds of Jaden and Mia already at play, their laughter filling the air, a sharp contrast to the weight pressing on her chest. It was as if the universe was pushing her to embrace this moment, yet the shadow of doubt threatened to pull her back as she stretched and made her way to the kitchen. The smell of fresh coffee lingered in the air, a strong companion against her anxious thoughts. Jaden was busy assembling a makeshift fort from cushions and pillows, providing Mia the perfect stage to perform her latest dance. Grace couldn't help but smile, their innocent joy sparking a flicker of hope within her. "Looks like a party in here," Grace said, trying to exude the courage she sought. Jaden grinned. "It's our treasure hideout. Can you bring cupcakes for the treasure hunt?" "Cupcakes?" Mia's eyes lit up. "With sprinkles?" "Absolutely." Grace laughed. As she poured herself coffee, she felt the warmth of their laughter seep into her. It reminded her of the reason she was going to take the stage today, not just to sing, but to show her kids that facing fears could lead to beautiful things. "Mom," Mia said suddenly, her voice softening, "are you nervous about your singing today?" Grace turned to her. "A little, but I believe I can do it. You guys believe in me, right?" "Always," Jaden exclaimed, thumping his chest. "You'll blow them away." With a deep breath, Grace felt fortified. If she could have the courage to step into the world with her kids beside her, perhaps today would indeed be different. After breakfast, the morning flew by in a blur of excitement. They painted faces on rocks to mark their treasure paths and crafted elaborately detailed clues, laughter spilling out like confetti filling their hearts with light. "Okay, team," Grace said, gathering them around. "Let us practice the song. Remember, it's about having fun, and when I sing on stage, I want you guys to cheer real loud." "Deal." Jaden smiled. Grace grabbed her guitar and strummed the first chords, feeling the vibrations ripple through her fingers. Jaden and Mia clapped their hands, joining together in a chorus, their voices playful and loud. It was a love song, one that spoke of courage and taking risks, and every note filled Grace with a feeling she hadn't realized she missed freedom. As she sang, she could see them dancing, twirling in their own little adventure, and the joy of the moment enveloped her. Yet, reminders of her fears lingered at the edges. Just picture the audience smiling, painting their encouraging faces in the air, she whispered to herself. Each verse built up her confidence like a solid foundation. After finishing the song, Grace felt a new kind of energy flowing through her, brighter than she felt all week. "You guys are amazing," she said, breathless but thrilled. "Mom, you're going to be a star." Mia squealed, her excitement palpable. But as their laughter faded and reality loomed, the seriousness brushed against her skin like a winter chill. What if she faltered in the spotlight? What if the crowd's applause turned to silence? In the quiet that followed, a daunting weight pressed on her soul, even as the morning buzzed with joy outside. Grace's heart raced. Standing there with Jaden and Mia, she realized she was wrestling with a truth far deeper. The performance was about more than putting on a show. It was about sharing who she was, imperfections and all. As the clock inched closer to the hour she would step on stage, a thought struck. The treasure wasn't simply in the song she would sing, but in the chance to unveil a hidden part of herself. The clock was ticking, but could she gather the courage to dive into the unknown? The whisper of her fears nagged at her, but as she looked down into her children's expectant eyes, she felt one last surge of determination. What if she truly embraced this chance? What if she sang like the world was watching and cheering? With resolve glimmering in her heart, she took a tiny step forward, the weight of her worries still heavy, but perhaps, just perhaps, she was ready to claim her spotlight. As she turned to grab her notes, she felt a spark of hope swell within. What awaited her on that stage? Would she discover more than just belonging? On the cusp of transformation, she took a breath, trying to imagine the moment that would change everything. Grace's heart pounded as she stood in front of the mirror, smoothing her hair and adjusting the straps of her top. Each breath felt deeper than the last as she squeezed her notes in one hand, her guitar slung over her shoulder. It was still early, but the world outside buzzed like a beehive, filled with people and sounds. The sun was bright, casting a warm glow that filtered through the window, and she felt every inch of its energy. "Mom, are you ready?" Jaden's voice called from the living room, filled with the kind of hope and enthusiasm that could make someone fly. His eagerness was infectious. "I'm almost there," she yelled back, but her voice came out shaky, cracking slightly. She took another deep breath, reminding herself to smile. That smile was meant for Jaden and Mia, who believed in her wholeheartedly. Her mind wandered back to moments leading up to this day, a whirlwind of practices, nerves, laughter, and those late-night thoughts that crept in, telling her what was possible and what was not. But now, with the moment so close, the fear began to transform. When she stepped out of the house, the sun hit her face directly, a gentle reminder that warmth, like encouragement, could transform the coldest moments into something brighter. Jaden and Mia were right behind her, holding hands, their innocent belief in her talent radiating like their laughter. "Let us go find some treasure," Mia shouted, twirling and tugging her brother along. "Treasure first, concert second," Jaden added, striking a mock heroic pose. Grace's heart soared. Their playful energy acted like a shield against her fears. "All right, treasure hunters," she said, joining their excitement and lightness. As they approached the community center, where the performance would take place, Grace noticed others gathering for an event that felt surreal yet tangible. Bright banners flapped in the light breeze, announcing the talent show, and beneath them wandered a mix of nervousness and anticipation. She could see faces filled with excitement, the camaraderie of people sharing their talents. "Look, Mom." Mia pointed toward a group practicing a dance routine. Grace saw the joy reflected in their movements, the way they lifted each other up, as if the effort of one made the whole better. A spark ignited within her. This was why she needed to do this. "Yeah, they look like they're having a blast," Grace replied, the reflection of her children's enthusiasm fracturing her apprehension into shards of resolve. They moved through the crowd, and as they stepped inside, Grace absorbed the sights and scents that filled the space, the rich aroma of popcorn, the sounds of chatter, and the low hum of musicians tuning their instruments. When Mia tugged at her sleeve, Grace turned and saw worry etched over her daughter's brow. "What if you really do get scared on stage?" Grace knelt down, looking squarely into her eyes. "You know, Mia, everyone gets scared sometimes. But what matters is trying anyway. Just like how you danced yesterday without a worry." "But what if I fall?" Mia whispered, genuine concern glistening in her eyes. "You might," Grace said softly, "but that won't stop you from getting back up, will it? And what if you fly instead?" The realization hit Grace like a wave. The fear of falling wasn't just hers. It was everywhere, in everyone. Every single one of them was about to unveil a part of themselves, hidden talents and dreams that deserved a stage. Suddenly, the loudspeaker barked, calling her name. It was official, she was up next. "Okay, let us go," Jaden cheered, and in that moment, Grace felt adrenaline surge through her veins. She could see the stage and all the faces watching her. This was it. The finish line was looming, and she was right on the edge. Taking a step forward, she breathed deeply before forcing her legs to move, one foot in front of the other. Chills ran down her spine, her heart racing with every step. Would she meet her expectations? Would the song come alive in the way she had envisioned? As she approached the bright lights, everything outside faded into a warm blur. With every heartbeat echoing in her ears, she wondered, what would happen next? Would she defy herself in a way she had only dreamed about? The moment was upon her. She was ready. But would the real magic happen once she opened her mouth to sing? As Grace stood at the edge of the stage, 1,000 thoughts crowded her mind. Responsibilities, dreams, and the very real possibility of failure swirled in a tempest of anxiety. Yet beneath that chaos lay a warmth, the unwavering belief of her children, their radiant smiles pushing her forward. "Breathe, just breathe," she whispered to herself, focusing on the faces in the audience. They were like her, nervous, excited, and hopeful. Suddenly, her heart began to synchronize with the rhythm of her doubts, each beat echoing a promise to overcome. Slowly, she stepped into the spotlight. The warmth enveloped her like a hug from the sun. Every flicker of the light drew her forward, illuminating the path that led to a piece of her soul she hadn't dared to explore in so long. Jaden and Mia were in the front row, their cheers cascading over the others and wrapping around her heart. igniting a fire inside. With her guitar in hand, she strummed the first chord softly. The sound filled the hall, rich and warm. She took a deep breath, letting her voice flow out into the vibrations of the crowd. Her first notes were shaky, but she pressed on, allowing the music to rise with her spirit as she sang. She envisioned moments from her life, trading futures for bills, every laughter shared with her children, the hidden nights of yearning. Each lyric became a catharsis, a release that transcended her fears, transforming doubt into strength. The audience leaned in, drawn in by the lyrical story unfolding, and with every verse, Grace felt the walls she had built begin to crumble. "I'm living for today," she sang, her voice gaining strength, resonating with the hopes she had buried deep. The crowd responded. She could feel their hearts beating in tandem with hers. A surge of confidence surged through her, sharp and thrilling, igniting her passion. In that moment, she wasn't just a maid, she was a performer, a mother proving that dreams could be held in the arms of reality. The room erupted with energy, and for the first time, she felt truly seen. Every note danced through the air with a lightness like never before. As she reached the final chorus, the audience joined her, their voices rising beside hers, a symphony of support. It was more than just a performance. It was a collective experience of empowerment. When she hit the last note, it lingered in the air, an echo of triumph, vulnerability, and connection. When the applause erupted, Grace stood frozen momentarily, awash in disbelief. Tears prickled her eyes as she caught sight of Jaden and Mia. Their faces lit up with pride and joy. "You were amazing, Mommy," Jaden shouted above the cheers, his pure excitement giving her wings. Grace took a step back, breathless, filled with a sense of purpose so invigorating, she could hardly believe. This wasn't merely about her or the contest. It was a testament to possibility, an inception of dreams that now felt tangible. She had shared her heart, and it resonated deeply with those around her. Amid the applause, she felt connection grow, a bond that tied them all together. Behind the curtain moments later, Daniel approached her, a proud smile on his face. "Grace, that was incredible. I had no idea how powerful your voice was." "Thank you," she replied, her smile radiant. "It felt good, really good." "Good? You're on the path to greatness. We need to discuss a few ideas about performances," he said, his enthusiasm bubbling over. Grace's heart soared. She could hardly believe how one moment, one performance, could shift the trajectory of her life so dramatically. It was not only recognition, it was opportunity. The rest of the day melted into joyful chaos as Grace celebrated with her children. They paraded around the house like a victorious team, singing and dancing sporadically, decor shimmering with stars made from glitter and promise. Grace knew now that she didn't have to choose between her dreams and being a mother. She could be both, she would be both. That night, tucking Jaden and Mia into bed, Grace leaned down for a moment, her heart full. "Thank you for believing in me, my loves," she whispered, tears of joy brimming in her eyes. "We'll always believe in you, Mommy," Mia said sleepily, a satisfied smile gracing her face. As Grace headed to her own room, she whispered a silent vow to herself. She would chase this journey, not just for herself, but for her children. She would show them that dreams could be pursued, that fear could be faced, and that every single person, regardless of their past, could shine brightly when they dared to sing their song. The journey ahead was unknown, but filled with excitement and possibilities, and no matter what, she would embrace it wholeheartedly. Her spirit felt free as she closed her eyes that night, dreaming of bright lights, laughter, and the music yet to unfold. And now, the moment has come. You need to subscribe now to catch the next exclusive stories that await you. Don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support truly makes a difference. Comment below about your reactions and feelings about this emotional ending. The journey is just beginning, and you don't want to miss it.